Welcome to Heaping Spoonful, a twice-monthly conversation with restaurateurs, chefs, growers, and others who have helped generate the legends associated with the eateries across the Mid-South. The team at Benny Keith is proud to sponsor this adventure with the goal of preserving the stories that have helped cultivate an amazing food scene across the Mid-South. So kick back and enjoy a Heaping Spoonful.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Heaping Spoonful. I'm Kelly Bass, and it's my pleasure, after decades of writing about restaurants for Little Rock, Arkansas-based newspapers and magazines, to be the host of a podcast and just talk about restaurants and talk with the people who make them great. Our goal with Heaping Spoonful is to cast a spotlight on chefs and restaurateurs from across the Mid-South. Today, we are chatting with Mike Robertshaw, who's the owner and operator of Pizzeria Ruby in Springdale, Arkansas. So welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Kelly. Well, glad to be here.
Me too. Listen, so, those of us who are in Arkansas know what I'm about to say, but folks who are not may not. Northwest Arkansas is by far the fastest growing area of our state, and it's really one of the hottest spots in the nation. And that dynamic means a lot of interesting and talented people are attracted to that area of Arkansas. So on the southern end of that quadrant, you've got the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. And then that continuum stretches up through Springdale, Rogers, and into Bentonville, which is the corporate home of Walmart, and all the associated, generally exciting things that go with being the hub of that world-renowned and huge chain. So Mike Robertshaw is one of those interesting and talented transplants who relocated to Northwest Arkansas. So, Mike, you were working in Seattle before coming to Arkansas. So what led you to leave Seattle and come to the northwest part of Arkansas?
I was in Seattle for about 12 years, and I actually met my wife up there. It's been 13 years now, and she's actually from this area. She grew up about an hour away from here, and her and her brothers and everybody all went to KU, and they're all Kansas people, and they all kind of relocated down this way, and she wanted to be closer to her nieces and nephews, so she moved down here. We did long distance for a while, as there was nothing for me to really do here. I just opened a restaurant in Seattle called Restaurant Rue, to great acclaim, and it wasn't the time for me to leave just yet. So we waited about 2.5 years or so doing the long distance thing before I was able to locate down here and find something that interested me to do.
Yeah, and again, people who know that area of the state, it's been on the rapid rise in livability and in fun stuff to do. And I will tell you, the square in Bentonville, Arkansas, there's no place like it in the state, and it's been very deliberately made into a place to attract folks who want to high quality of life between bike trails and Crystal Bridges Museum and all the great restaurants. And you were at one of those. But let's back up just a little bit. So 12 or 13 years in Seattle. What got you to Seattle? Were you working in another part of the country and then got a chance to move to Seattle?
I'm actually from New England, man. I grew up between Boston and Maine. I got half my family down in Boston, half my family in Maine, in Portland, Maine, actually. And I was working in Portland back in 2003, and it just wasn't really. I was an eager young cook. Worked for a couple of James Beard chefs in Portland, and I just wanted to find more. And just kept reading more about the Pacific Northwest, and it was just kind of a lateral move across country, really. But was just really kind of excited. So I just packed up my Volkswagen and drove out there with my girlfriend at the time, and just started hitting the streets and putting my resume out, and just kind of went for it, man. I was 24 years old, and wanted to learn and absorb as much more as I could.
Well, you went from about the top right corner to the top left corner of the country, so that's. But of course, Seattle's renowned for its food scene, and so it sounds like you worked in some kitchens, you learned a lot of things, and then you ultimately had your own place before you left, which was, you say, Cafe Rue?
Restaurant Rue, yeah.
Restaurant Rue.
Yeah, I was the executive chef and partner with my friend Matt Lewis, who owns a food truck up there called Where You At Matt, and he's from New Orleans, and we kind of did this modern take on Creole food. we the truck was doing po' boys and jambalaya and gumbo. We developed some beignet recipes together, and we wanted to go brick and mortar. He and I started the truck, and then I went off and worked at another restaurant, opened another place. Then when he got excited to do the brick and mortar, he called me and was like, let's do this together. And I ended up opening. It was 2.5 years of it was a whirlwind. It was crazy busy. Like I said, great acclaim, top 25 brunch in America. It was just,
wow.
It was madness.
Yeah. And you stuck with the Creole theme on the food?
So yeah, we stuck with this Creole theme. It was kind of, more of a John Besh, New Orleans versus, Dom Elise's or, Giacomo's or anything like that. But still kind of having really fun with those bold kind of French Creole flavors. I mean, that's kind of my whole mantra in cooking is just to kind of, I like to punch people in the face with flavor, like unexpected flavors and, to really kind of heighten what things have to say. You know what I mean? I don't want to get in the way of the ingredient, but I want to take it to a level that will elevate what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, you're singing my song because I just don't like boring, and I'm not trying to be condescending or elitist or anything, but there's so many people that are so comfortable eating boring food, and there's plenty of chains that make I guess their owners plenty of money on boring food.
Yeah. Mediocrity is not really my thing.
Yeah, well, that's why you were one of the top 25 brunches in the country. You weren't IHOP or Waffle House or something. So then again, your wife had a lot of family down this way and wanted to get down here, and you got tired of not being with your wife, but also it took a while to find the opportunity, and that opportunity was the Pressroom.
Yes.
Which again I've been to both locations, and I went to the smaller one, and then of course and we'll talk about that. So you must have obviously gotten that opportunity. It would have taken something to make you leave what you had in Seattle. So you came down here and to work at the Pressroom, and it sounds like you infused some new life into the menu and took what was going on and took it up to another level. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, it's, it was just kind of, the previous owners, still friends of mine, and they kind of wanted to elevate that. So we're at the very beginning of Rope Swing Group. Myself and Chef Matt Cooper, a couple other people that were just kind of in the start of Rope Swing, just kind of Pressroom, Preacher's Son were supposed to be kind of the first two concepts, and the Pressroom was supposed to be the first. And we were a little bit delayed. So, I was never supposed to go into the old Pressroom and develop the menu, but we were so delayed on the construction. They're like, well, let's try to start transitioning this now. So, it was a good opportunity for me to get in. I hate to say that it was, there was a lot of training that had to happen. There wasn't a whole lot of, it's outside of what Matt McClure was doing and Rob Nelson's doing. Right. Luke and Molly just opened Oven and Tap. There really weren't a lot of kind of high-end restaurants. And there certainly wasn't a lot of, trained staff for that. So it was a good opportunity for us to kind of, we really looked at it more like, 4 or 5 months of training versus transitioning menus. You know what I mean? Yeah,
sure. And it's also a great way to get ready so that when you do open the new larger spot, you've already got your staff trained up. But I think people who aren't in this business don't understand that there's just a level of expectation in terms of both back of house and front of house that just don't carry out in a lot of restaurants. And you named two former guests on Heaping Spoonful with Rob Nelson and Matt McClure that are doing amazing stuff. And again, all within about a block and a half walk of one another. And then Preacher's Son, I knew Matt when he was down here at Cash, and then of course he packed up and went up to do Preacher's Son, which is, I have not gotten to eat there. I don't believe he is there anymore, but I didn't get to eat there. But I went to the bar, which is super cool.
Yeah, the Undercroft down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not there anymore. He left a bit back. He's actually, oddly enough, I'm sitting outside of my restaurant talking to you. He's actually right in front of me in his truck. So he comes down here and hangs out pretty often. He's
good.
I think he's working on a few other projects right now. So he's
majorly talented. So there's no doubt he'll land someplace.
dear friend of mine. So,
and all his customers will be super happy about it. So then you all, the construction did get complete, and it's a stunningly nice open glass, a lot of glass space with that cool bar in the middle at the new press room, which I guess isn't that new anymore. We're recording this, by the way. I like to tell people we're in mid to late September of 2021. We hope people are listening forever. When did you open that location?
Oh goodness, I want to say it was January 20th of 2016.
Oh wow, okay.
I believe it was. No, I got here in, I believe, middle of April in 2015, and we opened the following year in January.
I got you. And what did having a larger restaurant with a larger kitchen, what did that allow you to do that you couldn't really do in the smaller spot?
Oh, it allowed us to really kind of expand. I mean, like the menu was under development for the entire time we were in the small kitchen. We were just trying to, keep that following alive and really just kind of start to introduce people to what we're going to be offering in the new spots. There was certainly a whole lot of backlash when I decided to change the deli turkey sandwiches and things like that and try to usher Pressroom into the modern world. But I mean, there's, I wouldn't say there was death threats, but they were pretty fucking close.
I understand. I've known many a chef and restaurant owner who that taking things off the menu is hard sometimes, because even, I won't go into it, but one restaurant that had some pitiful rendition of etouffee, they still were mad when he took it off. And he's like, I can't serve this stuff. This is just terrible. But, people get addicted to it. And a deli turkey sandwich, Jason's Deli makes a living off of them, but it's not necessary.
Hey, they're freaking delicious, but that's not what I was hired to do.
Exactly. So working for a restaurant, and again, you talked about Rope Swing Group, and that's I don't know the whole ownership component, but I know that the Walton kids are involved in ownership of that. Did it feel any different than working for anybody else, or was it just pretty typical restaurant experience in terms of what resources were made available to you?
It's pretty typical. I mean, there's still a bottom line. I mean, you try not to think about who they are and the fact that, we can literally do anything we want. You still need to make sense of it.
Sure.
I mean, there was certainly, we were able to do probably a little bit more than we needed to. And, basically it's, we're going to open this restaurant. We want you to design your dream kitchen, and then then we'll figure out how to keep it under this cost. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I mean, I think the idea of it was to kind of keep that same mantra that the Pressroom had, which was that neighborhood spot. I think that's why we went with the bar in the middle and the kitchen kind of being open and glass all around. It kind of gives that feel of, being in a big open space with everyone. It has a very communal feel, and they were very supportive in that vision and kind of what we had. Learned a lot. It was a great opportunity for me to kind of learn. And again, it's a small piece of what they do, but it was a good experience.
Yeah, and I've had many a great Sunday brunch and other good meals in there too. So you guys did great. So I guess the itch to own your own thing is always there once you've done it once. And so you left the Pressroom, and you and Meredith Butler, your partner, opened Persephone on Wheels, which was your food truck. Was that just something you felt compelled to go do?
It's kind of a personal story in there. At the end of my tenure with Rope Swing Group, it was just. It just felt like everything was kind of getting stagnant. And I mean, I had a kind of a 5-year plan. I wanted to learn as much as I could about the business side of thing and development side of thing, which I thought I could learn a lot was there. We had a personal tragedy in my personal life. My mom passed away. And it just, when I came back to work after being with her for a couple of weeks in hospice, it just, catering to the masses just didn't have that personal connection that I was looking for.
Sure.
So we kind of took everything that we had and just kind of, I grew up in New England, and my mom's very Italian. My father is very Greek. My mother's nickname was Persephone. My yaya used to call my mother Persephone growing up, because she always loved to do flowers and work in the garden and things like that. So it's kind of an homage to my mom, to have it be Persephone on wheels.
Because Persephone is the goddess of what, spring and flowers or something?
Yes,
that?
the goddess of spring. Yes.
Yeah, that's fabulous. So again, you were obviously a known entity, but from what you've done in town already, was Persephone on Wheels kind of a hit from the get-go? Because food truck thing's been going on in Bentonville longer than a lot of places.
Yeah.
Where did you guys put it? Was it mobile, or did you have it set somewhere?
No, we had a set. We were in Rogers, actually. Kind of where the new park is now. We were parked in the Fat Tire parking lot, which is near the Rail Yard Park, kind of by the train station up there. The new 1907, where the Onyx is, and all that. And it was good. It was, Greek food's a hard sell. If it's not tzatziki's or shaved, weird processed meats. A lot of people are still unfamiliar with kind of what that cuisine is. Now, I can't say we had incredible success for what we're trying to do. Falafel, not everybody really knows what it is, Right. We had a great time with it. Our catering was fantastic. We love the food. It's still, that food is still really my passion. It's food I grew up eating. Greek food and Italian food is rooted in everything I grew up doing. So, we still own the concept. We're still looking to develop something for that. It's just right now, it's just kind of on the sideline while we get through the whole madness of the pandemic and whatnot.
Sure, and again, you know how to do it. All you got to do is set up. So when we're doing catering out of there, were you cooking it in the truck, or was the truck just where you sold it?
So the truck is where we sold it. We did quite a bit of the vegetable mise en place prep on the truck.
Right.
But we had a commissary kitchen as well that we rented. We actually had another food truck called 3 Cents an Acre, which is a Creole concept that we were running as well. That was in front of Ozark Beer Company. And at that time, we were partnered up with Moonbrook Brewing Company in Rogers, and we were running the kitchen and the food out of there, as well as prepping and for both of the trucks. So I had a staff of about 25 people who were, split between the brew pub and the 2 food trucks.
Yeah, and I think some people have a misconception about a food truck. They think it's just 2 people that are in there like with a griddling up burgers and throwing them out the window, and there's hope. It can be a whole different animal as you've
well, unfortunately, that's probably the only way to make money on food trucks, because it's a hard business. It's hard to track down the money unless you're fully mobile and able to do it. Being in one place, it's kind of, we're in the age of convenience. People don't want to find you. People don't want to have to look for you. Not a lot of people want to wait these days. So it's kind of hard to build that business, So there were some struggles, but I mean, we enjoyed the food. We were passionate about it.
Well, again, it's what you said. You grew up eating, and you also introduced people to some, the Greek foods beyond, hummus and gyros, and it can, that can be delightful. So, was it basically had it run its course, or did COVID pretty much knock it down as far as making it a viable business proposition?
It was COVID, 100%. So we typically were running the trucks. We were open for about 3 years. We were typically running the trucks right into November, December, really depending on how the weather held out. There was some struggling days where we'd do $100 in sales and just be like, well, shit, what are we going to do now?
Sure.
But we had shut it down for the last part of December in January. And then, January 2020 is when word started happening. And then, the pandemic really hit, and we were like, well, fuck, what are we going to do? There's no events. I'm not gonna we're required to wear masks. I'm not gonna stand in a food truck when it's 97 degrees out in the middle of summer, 2 feet away from each other while hanging my head out the window to talk to other people. It just doesn't seem like the safe bet. So we just held off. We waited and waited and waited. And then it didn't look like the pandemic was letting up anytime soon. So we sold off the trucks and, moved forward with the other part of what we were trying to do, which is the new concept that we have now.
Yeah, which we'll talk about just here in a minute. So I appreciate everybody listening to this episode of Heaping Spoonful with our guest, Mike Robertshaw, the owner of what we're about to talk about, Pizzeria Ruby in Springdale, Arkansas. So hang on, everybody. We'll be right back.
I hope you're enjoying this episode of Heaping Spoonful. We at Benny Keith Foods enjoy talking about the food scene almost as much as we enjoy providing the top quality ingredients that help restaurateurs and chefs across the Mid-South create their magic. Now let's dive even deeper into the culinary world with your host, Kelly Bass.
Welcome back to Heaping Spoonful, and we're going to jump right back in with Mike Robertshaw. The story of your accomplishments in Northwest Arkansas took us from Pressroom 1 to Pressroom 2 to Persephone on Wheels, and that leads us to Pizzeria Ruby, your latest project, which, if my research is correct, Meredith and you opened that in July of 2021. So was that, again, just a concept? I mean, you said you're Italian and Greek. Now you've hit the Italian side. So was that, I mean, did you know my next project's going to be something like what Pizzeria Ruby ended up being?
Yes. So this project has actually been in the works for a couple of years now. We were originally going to open this concept in Rogers, and the space that we were looking at had a lease signed on. The building ended up getting sold, and we were in the throes of the other three businesses, and we just weren't able to get around to it. And then some developers that we had worked with in the past had this location down here in Johnson that they had us look at back. Again, we were looking at it before when COVID had just hit. We started conversations on this in January, February of 2020. And then we put everything on the back burner until, I would say, late 2020, probably July, August, when everything started to kind of come back around. And then we finally signed the lease in August and got construction started in October of 2020. So between the freeze and the snowstorms of February and contractors being out with COVID, it's a 5-month project ended up taking about 9 months. So.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, we got the raging Delta variant that decided to come jump up and bite us all too. But I'll tell you, I love the menu. I really can't wait to visit, and I love to get to Northwest Arkansas. So you're at the top of my list. And as I mentioned before we started recording, I mean, some of the items on there are they're predictable things you might expect to find on a menu like that. But you feature all kinds of cool twists and turns. And you said earlier you like to make things interesting and slap people upside the head with cool flavors. So let's just kind of talk about the menu, and we'll start with your appetizers, which you call appies, and I like that. And very first thing, cheese calzone. And again, 4 cheeses. We got fresh ricotta, aged provolone, fresh mozzarella, and Asiago with basil and a side of Ruby's red sauce. So tell for me, I mean, first off, those 4 cheeses are going to be great together, but the crust is important to me. And so how do you do the crust? Kind of how big are they, and kind of what were you shooting for? And what's Ruby's red sauce?
So the crust itself is our pizza dough that we use, which is a 5-day fermented dough, which we can get into detail on. But Ruby's red sauce is just kind of our basic marinara sauce, which is just braisins for about 2 or 3 hours. And I mean, the most important thing of it is the tomatoes that we use.
Right.
After taste testing 25, 26 different canned tomatoes from Italy, from all over the world, really, we ended up nailing down some tomatoes from California. They are DiNapoli tomatoes, and specifically Bianco DiNapoli. And Chris Bianco is a restaurateur and pizzaiolo out of Phoenix, Arizona, who is just lauded as one of the best in the country. His pizza place, Pizzeria Bianco, is one of the best. And he developed this tomato line of organic tomatoes, and they are hands down the most bright red, beautiful, sweet, tomato-flavored tomatoes you can get. And, like I said before, I don't look to replace the flavor of ingredients. I look to enhance them as much as possible. So our Ruby's red sauce is basically their organic tomatoes, some fresh basil, a little bit of sea salt, some really good olive oil, and we just let them speak for themselves.
That sounds absolutely fabulous. And I saw, when I was working down the menu with the cheese calzone, I saw something that I later saw in other spots on the menu, which says no substitution. So talk us through that restriction and your mindset behind putting your foot down and saying this is how we do it.
Well, so we really it's important for people to know that our basic idea in this concept is simplicity, right? And I think we live in a day and age where people want to just do more and more and more and more, hence your meat lovers pies and your ads and your substitutions.
Right.
It begins to take away from who we are, and it's not part of our brand. And I know that we're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and I don't think we need to be. I think we need to be who we are and be steadfast in what we have envisioned for this place, which is to allow ingredients to speak for themselves and be a place that people can put in their regular rotation and trust us to steer them in the right direction. And I think that's something that, has kind of been lost in the past 10 years, is people really trusting a restaurant, a local restaurant, to the chef to be able to direct them, to the best options possible. And I'd like to think that's what we do here. Not everybody would agree. But the substitution things for me is like, it's really hard to predict. If we have our specialty pies, I don't want to, we have counts on things, right? We can only prep so much of certain things. So if it becomes a free for all, it becomes impossible for us to keep up on them. Not to mention, when you do come visit, you'll see what kind of limitations we have on storage. Our restaurant is wide open, including the kitchen. You can see everything being made. The only thing that we have is a 8x10 walk-in cooler that shares the 10 barrels of beer that we have on tap, as well as, our stacks of dough boxes, which ferment for 5 days. So we go through about 200 pizza dough balls a day. So if you can imagine having to work 5 days out from that, as well as keeping all the cheeses that we shred. It becomes a storage issue if we're able to offer everything to everyone all the time.
Yeah, I agree. And, you just don't need somebody saying, hey, can I throw some pineapple in that cheese calzone?
The calzone is such a beautiful thing. And I think for me, the vision for I've always loved calzones, right? Like just growing up having a beautiful calzone. But it was really when we went to Lucali in Brooklyn that it really solidified it for me that I really just wanted, we source some of the best cheeses. We source Italian Taleggio's, and we use real Pecorino, and we buy Grana Padano by the 90-pound wheel, and we use Grande Mozzarella, and we shred it ourselves, and those cheeses are just so good. There's something so simple and beautiful about just that amalgamation of cheeses in a beautifully fermented crust with just a little bit of red sauce. It doesn't need anything else. It's perfect, just the way it is.
Yeah, I've known chefs and restaurant owners that get so frustrated when someone says, "Why is there not a salt and pepper shaker on my table? And where's my basket of bread, please?"
And we're happy to supply it. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So Mama's Meatballs, I love meatballs, and it's you do a beef and pork blend.
Yes.
With Sunday sauce, we'll talk about that in a second, and then an Italian cheese I wasn't familiar with, and then you serve it with quote unquote nice bread. So tell us about the sauce, tell us about the meatballs, and tell us about nice bread.
So the meatballs themselves, like I said, my mother's Italian. So when growing up, our Christmas dinners consisted of Sunday sauce, and Sunday sauce generally got started on Saturday nights. Mom would braise it overnight, and Mom would braise it with meatballs and short ribs and Italian sausages, and it would become this beautiful, sauce. And it was a Sunday sauce, and that's essentially what's on the meatballs. So the meatballs actually get braised in our Ruby's red sauce, but they braise for hours and hours and hours. So it kind of becomes this the juices all expelled from the meatballs, and they just become this more reduced, kind of beautiful sauce that goes with them. And it's a blend of beef and pork, and we're not comfortable buying pre-ground stuff. So we actually buy whole bone-in pork shoulder. We buy, choice chuck roll. We break everything down in house. We grind it all in house just because for me, it's all about the ratio of fat to meat. And the only way to get it correct is to actually do it ourselves. We use a fresh bread panade in it that we soak in milk versus dry breadcrumbs. It's just kind of this beautiful. It's how my mother taught me how to make meatballs. You use the leftover bread and
that's fabulous.
And you soak them in milk, and you just becomes this tender, beautiful meatball, like it was supposed to be.
That sounds fabulous. And tell me about this nice bread that you serve with it.
Not to keep bringing up my mother, but
that's good.
Whenever we would go over to my mom's house, and my sister and my brothers could could attest to this. Whenever we're going over to Mom's house for a Sunday dinner or anything like that, we'd always call and just be like, Ma, is there anything we can bring over? So yes, stop and get some bread. Get some nice bread, though. And the nice bread was always like,
I like it.
An Italian loaf from the bakery or a baguette or,
right.
Something to kind of, dip in the sauce. And, she used to make this beautiful tomato salad with like feta and onion. And, my brothers and father and I and sister would always fight over that delicious tomato juice at the end of the bowl. So, there's never any bread left over. So we call it nice bread just in honor of my mom, but it's actually ciabatta bread that we make in-house in our pizza oven.
Oh, man,
so it's a super high hydrated dough. We bake it in a hearth bake oven. It's a long process of folding and kneading, and everything's made by hand. So
it sounds fabulous. Again, attention to detail and no compromise on the quality of the ingredients. That's why the food is good. And you got mussels, I see, Maine mussels, and the mussels are from Maine, and you're from Maine. And then those mussels have sausage and garlic confit, which sounds like a really interesting flavor combination.
It is, yeah. We use a little bit of sopressata sausage. It's just kind of a nice little like Calabrian-style sausage. We dice it up and render it down in the pan. The mussels themselves are from Bangs Island, which is just in Casco Bay, not too far from where I grew up. But sourcing is 80% of what we do as chefs, and
sure,
it's important for me to make sure that we offer the best we can, and what we're able to get. We're a little bit limited here, kind of landlocked here in Arkansas, but I'll be damned if that's going to stop me from trying to serve the things that I love. And for me, mussels, when I lived in Seattle, we always had oysters on the menu. When you live in Maine, you got mussels on the menu. It's just one of those things that, mussels are one of the most sustainable proteins on the planet. They grow fast. They don't, they're great for the aquaculture. They're just a fantastic little product that's relatively inexpensive. And I think, if people have the option to eat them, you should definitely get them. They're one of my favorite things. And I think they become one of our most popular dishes. Since we've opened, people know they can come here and get a great product, and we make sure to put it on the plate.
Yeah, and I've seen more and more places that have mussels, and I've heard the same thing, that they've become really popular. So that's cool. So, sticking with the appies, you've got a cutlet parmesan that's not just crispy but delightfully crispy. So it's a chicken breast with red sauce, blistered mozzarella, lemon, and the homemade meatballs. None of these. No. I'm sorry here. Yeah. So none of these on the surface, sound like something you wouldn't expect. Cheese calzone, meatballs, mussels, Italian sausage, chicken cutlet. But again, you're giving them different treatments with great attention to detail. So I would think I could probably make a meal and not even have gotten down to the main courses yet. And I haven't even talked about the charcuterie plate yet. So, I mean, I guess I would think you would do a booming app business.
I think you broke up on me.
I was thinking you'd do a booming appetizer business. I mean, that people could get a lot of good stuff on the top half of the menu.
Yeah, and I think there's a design. Our pizzas are 18-inch pizzas, but I mean, they're also designed to be shared. And I think we wanted to make sure, for me, I wanted this place to be more like, like an aperitivo hour in Italy, where you go get mounting plates of charcuterie and vegetables. And, everything we do is relatively small. So we want to encourage people to kind of share these things. The cutlet parmesan, who doesn't love chicken parmesan? But I mean, we're buying Cook's Venture chicken, and we're pounding it down, and we actually do we do a buttermilk marinade on it for 24 hours. So it's really kind of this treatment of Southern fried chicken, but then it's treated like a cutlet parmesan. So you still get these familiar, tangy, delicious flavors with our red sauce and great mozzarella cheese. One of the biggest things that I necessarily don't always love about people that offer the cutlet parmesan is they always try to serve with this big mound of pasta. And it's like, I want people to be able to enjoy that and then eat other things as well, not just some dried noodles with sauce on the side. We do run pasta specials and things like that, but we make handmade pastas here. When we run them, we want to do a few of them and, really kind of showcase what we're doing for that dish. But, people seem to come in here and still order 2 or 3 pizzas and a bunch of appetizers and charcuterie plates and all that. It's been pretty great.
It sounds like it. And of course, again, Don't see mussels at a whole lot of quote unquote pizza places, but you also don't see tinned octopus and white anchovies. But I'm sure those are ingredients. Those are items that you've eaten in the past and said, let's broaden people's horizons a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, like the octopus. I mean, polpo. Octopus in Italian is a very big. My family is from Sicily, so southern Italy. A lot different than northern Italy. They just eat a lot of seafoods and things like that. And fish is a very big component of what is in a daily menu. You know what I mean? In Italy, and also everywhere I've lived and worked and grew up. And I mean, it's just such a nice offering. And we were able to find a great tinned octopus product. It is a Spanish octopus, but packed in olive oil. And we've served quite a few of them. People are very interested by it. And I think people really enjoy octopus. And then the white anchovies, anchovies are a huge part of any Mediterranean cuisine, anywhere from Spain to France to Italy and Greece. And, it's just kind of a nice little break from the salted porks and beefs and things like that. Sure. It's kind of refreshing and light. And, we serve it with our house-made giardinara, which is, like lacto-fermented vegetables. And we serve it with a portion of nice bread and Castelvetrano olive oil, which is a single origin Sicilian olive oil. So it's all just meant to be very bright and enjoyed with a nice, bubbly cocktail or a spritz or, our Sicilian gin and tonic or just anything with this bright, beautiful flavors. It just kind of, I don't want people wanting to be rolled out of here in a wheelbarrow. I want them to leave invigorated and felt like they had a great experience. Sure. And aren't so damn full that they, going to sleep for the next 2 days.
Right. Well, again, I could build meal after meal on what we've talked about already, and we haven't gotten to the pizza yet. So you do lots of different stuff. You do 18-inch pizzas, as you said. You got 26 in all, 10 specialties and 16 classics. 19 add-ons, and you smartly limit the number of add-ons because a pizza just can't take it all, and you need to save a little bit of stuff for other people to eat. And then you also do by the slice. I see you got, big slices. I guess they're an eighth of your 18-inch pies, or do you cut them into eighths? Or
no, so for the slices, we actually cut the pie into 6. So you get a 6 of an 18-inch
that is a big
pizza.
Slice.
Yeah, it's a big slice. We charge a reasonable price for it. I think we're like $3.50 for a big slice of cheese. I think we go up to about $4.99 for some of our specialty pies, and we have a case. So you walk in, we have a secondary pizza oven up on the front counter. So big pizzas are coming out of the back kitchen. You can see them being thrown and made, and they go up into a big display case. And then we have staff up there. So we run a $10 lunch special where you can get a drink and a slice and a salad for $10. And it's just kind of right where we're located. It just seems to make sense to have that kind of offering.
Sure.
But, slice shops are just the way of life back home. Back east, it's
man.
It's just nice to be able to have that option.
Yeah, I used to go to visit a friend in New York a lot, and I'd say my FSOD, that's my first slice of the day. So I'd stop, grab one, roll it up, walk down the street, munching on it, and I loved it. And I think with your lunch special, if you want to tack on a couple, $3 or $4, you can have a house glass of wine instead of a Coke with it. So you're singing my song. You're singing my song with that.
Absolutely, and most of our wines are all on tap. So get these cute little these cute little juice glasses, a little 5-ounce pour of wine. I think we charge $5 for it. So we didn't want things to be so committal here. We wanted people to kind of try everything. Don't feel like you need to spend $13 on a glass of wine. Like, shit, that's the only glass of wine I can afford. No, they're $5. Get 3 of them. Have a great time. Just don't get pulled over.
Exactly. And then you got. I was noticing you have a Save a Slice program. Tell our listeners about what Save a Slice is.
So Save a Slice is kind of a response to the pandemic. Our industry was hit so hard. I have so many friends from coast to coast who, some of them laid off 10 employees, some of them laid off 300 employees. And our industry got so devastated by the pandemic, and we continue to kind of take the brunt of, people's concerns and worries, yet everything else is kind of wide open. And I just didn't want anybody to feel like they ever had to go hungry. I don't want anybody to
right.
we're not in this. I mean, we're in this business to feed people. That's what we do, is to nurture and care. And, I don't want anybody to feel like they ever have to worry about their next meal. So, we allow people to come in here and I think it's $4, which covers the cost of a cheese or a specialty or whatever they want. But, no questions asked. Somebody ever wants a slice, there's tokens on the board. As soon as you walk in the restaurant, they're more than welcome to come in and grab one. And we will, trade them that coin for a slice of pizza. And,
so if I were eating there, and I said, hey, I want to sponsor a couple of slices, I could add on $8 to my tab, and you'd put 2 coins up there, and somebody who needs a slice or wants a slice could come get one. Is that how it works?
Yep. And we'll match it too. So every time you buy a slice, we'll also match a slice. So
that's fabulous. And I you're right. What you're in the business to do is feed people. And I've seen so many restaurateurs step up with similar programs to try to make sure nobody's going hungry. And, we already talked about the fact you can get a little nice glass of wine to go along with your pizza or whatever else you're having off your fabulous menu. It looks like you all take beer and cocktails pretty seriously too, because the list looks nice.
We do. Like I said before, we're limited on storage, so it's really important for me to kind of curate a special menu that really fit with what we do. We don't want to just throw beers on for the sake of throwing beers on because they're local or they're popular. We want to do it because they go well with the food. And it's, everything we do is intentional. We want to make sure that our whole programming is cohesive. The brand is on point. And it's, we got some Ozark beer because the APA is delicious. We got some New Province, we got one beer from Lost 40, but we're also pulling, Peroni because it's amazing. And we've got Miller Lite because it's my favorite beer. It's,
right.
We got a little something for everybody, but my good friend over at Vault Bar here in Fayetteville, Sean Traxler, helped me, kind of develop the cocktail program. Though I've worked with tons of great, bartenders and mixologists in my career, it's not really my area of expertise. I certainly know how to drink.
Sure.
And I certainly know how I want things to taste, but writing recipes for that is not really my forte. So I pulled him in to help, and I really just kind of gave him a direction on what we wanted, which was, kind of brought us to this great little mix of spritzes and gin and tonics. And, there's some fun names on there, poking fun at some family members. And
oh, good. That's good.
Yeah.
Inside jokes. That's fun. Cool. And then you got a couple of homemade desserts. You got gelato. And then you also have tiramisu, which is the classic Italian dessert. Do you feature multiple flavors of gelato, or do you just make what feels like you want?
We do. We change. One of them stays vanilla all the time, and we do use real vanilla. Expensive as hell. I don't know why the hell we do it, but I want to say there's a good 40. There's as much money in vanilla as there is in milk and sugar and eggs in the batches.
Right.
But we keep vanilla because we have root beer on tap from Diamond Bear down in Little Rock, actually.
It's good root beer.
And we do root beer floats. So we have to have vanilla at all times, but we rotate the other flavor. Currently the most popular one's been pistachio. And we tried and worked on it and pureeing pistachios and a Vitaprep, and, found a company out of Illinois that does some great natural flavorings. And this beautiful coloring that they make with like spirulina and a bunch of stuff that really kind of helps us nail in the color that we were looking for. So, it's been kind of fun. We do have a 2-flavor machine. So, we generally always have one flavor of the day, it's vanilla.
Sure.
And, we go through a lot of it. We offer it in a waffle cone or by the dish. We might need to buy another machine soon, but I think we might need another pizza oven first.
Yeah, hey, that's a nice situation to find yourselves in, but I understand. Well, listen, thanks so much, Mike, and continue good luck with Pizzeria Ruby. I will be in touch. I have your phone number. You will know when I'm coming. I'll bring my lovely wife, Ashley, and we'll come feast on all this wonderfulness. And I appreciate everybody out there listening to this episode of Heaping Spoonful. Remember that we post these the first and third Tuesdays of each month. So check them out, the new ones, and keep an eye out for the ones that you have missed, and listen to them too. So thanks, and have a good day, everybody.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Heaping Spoonful. On behalf of all of us at Benny Keith Foods, Mid-South Division, please know how much we love connecting you with the legends of the culinary scene and their unique stories. I look forward to the next time we can offer you another Heaping Spoonful.